Hello everyone, it's Menenberg. Today we have a special treat. We decided this year we were going to switch gears about midway through and let you start annotating your textbooks. A lot of you have been doing Cornell style notes and other things that take a lot of time, and maybe they are helpful, maybe they aren't. Everyone's a little bit different. So today we have a special guest. Miss Riely is going to be joining us to walk us through some strategies on how you can get the most out of your textbook reading while annotating it. A reminder, this is just one method to use in terms of reading and note-taking. There are other methods. You got to find what's right for you, but Miss Riely is an expert, so pay attention. She knows what she's talking about. If you have questions afterward, please put them in the comments and let us know what else you need. All right, without further ado, here's Miss Riely.
Hello everyone. Hopefully this video is finding you guys healthy and safe. So I'm going to go ahead and just go over annotating. I want to reiterate what Mr. Menenberg said is that there's not one right or wrong way to annotate. And even further, you might be annotating and realizing you're just not getting as much out of it as you were with note-taking. And so if note-taking is the better method for you, feel free to keep note-taking. But this is just one way that you guys can start using for chapters 6 and then all the way until the end of the year in May. And hopefully you get as much out of it while also spending a little bit less time. All right, so I'm gonna go over some quick don'ts for annotating, and then I'll talk you guys through some do's so that you guys can be successful in this. So, some don'ts. We'll start with the things you shouldn't do. One of the things you shouldn't do is read empty-handed. You should always have a writing utensil in front of you. I know a lot of students say, well, I read last night, but I just don't remember what I was doing. Or I just finished reading it and my mind was somewhere else. If you have a pen in hand, that enables you to become an active reader and it helps your brain stay focused on what you're reading. Okay? Number 2, have the CED out in front of you. I have a paper copy. This year you guys have an electronic copy. This is your guide. This is your cheat sheet for College Board. Remember, College Board makes the CED the course exam description. College Board does not make your textbook. So if you read with the CED, that is your study guide for the test. All right? I dropped my CED. All right, another thing that could be an easy temptation to find is that when you read your textbook, it has a lot of really good information. If you find that you're highlighting even half the textbook, it's probably too much. Okay, so I have a visual for you guys to see. So even though this textbook, and hopefully you guys can see it pretty well, even though this page has different colors, it's still probably too much. And again, your goal with note-taking and reading and annotating is to take this information and condense it down to meaningful content. Okay, so I would say your goal is to highlight no more than 30% of what you're looking at. Okay, and remember, whole sentences don't matter. Think fragments, think phrases, etc. All right, and then the last thing I would say is not to do. So you probably don't want to sit in a cozy chair like this because it might be a little bit easy to fall asleep. All right, so find a place that you can sit, stay engaged, be an active reader, never read while laying down. It sends signals to your body like we're supposed to be falling asleep right now, so don't do that, all right? But otherwise, hopefully the do's help you to get you through your homework a little bit faster than you did in the first semester, all right? So if you're still with me, let's do some do's of annotating. Once again, this is my course exam description, also known as the CED. You should always have this up when you're reading. This is your precursor to your reading. Okay, it helps you narrow things down. The CED is to the question that you're supposed to read first when you're doing multiple choice questions. Remember that. So I'm going to be reading 6.2, which is titled State Expansion from 1750 to 1900. So we're in the imperialism unit. And remember, always take in and think about context as you read. So state expansion from 1750 to 1900, I'm thinking this expansion is occurring because of what we learned in Unit 5, which was the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so always be thinking, what do I know coming into this content and into this reading? So I see in the course exam description that I only have one theme that I'm focusing on. In the case of 6.2, it is governance. So because of that, I might feel comfortable using 2 colors that I'm working with as I go through my content. I'm going to use one color for my thematic focus, in this case, government, and then I'm going to go and look at the different, at the learning objective and see what historical thinking skill it gets me to lean towards. So just below the thematic focus, you'll see the learning objective. The learning objective says, compare processes by which state power shifted in various parts of the world from 1750 to 1900. So I know, as I'm taking my notes, I'm thinking about the historical thinking skill of comparison. And should I write an LEQ or a DBQ or even an SAQ on this, I'll be able to compare different groups over time. All right? Now, what's really nice is that when I go to my textbook, 6.2, I'm going to glance at the headings and I see imperialism in Africa. The next page, I see about British West Africa, the French in Africa, South Africa and the Boer Wars, and I'm seeing these comparisons already standing out to me. The next page, I see imperialism in South Asia, imperialism in East Asia, imperialism in Southeast Asia. The textbook has already lent itself to organizing it by way of the CED. So as I start reading, I'm going to read the first paragraph, and I know just through reading that the first paragraph kind of sets the stage for what the whole chapter will look at. All right? So I read the first paragraph, and it's only maybe 6 sentences long. So I'll read it, and it's talking specifically about King Leopold of Belgium. Okay? And it talks about how he uniquely establishes a private colony. Now, I know just from chapter 5 and even chapter 4, thinking about exploration, most of the time exploration and imperialism was government funded. In this case, it's a private colony. So maybe I'm going to have one color for governance, I'm going to have a second color for comparison, and maybe I'll even bring in a third color, because I know that you guys want to get that 6th point on the LEQ and the DBQ, that nuance point. Okay? Remember, nuance can be brought in by showing anomalies. It can be brought in by showing comparisons and contrasting. It can be shown by bringing in things from outside the time period or that continue into the future. So the fact that King Leopold has a private colony, which is an anomaly from imperialism at that time, I'm going to go ahead and make an indicator of that, because that shows me I can't blanket history, which you shouldn't be doing. As I go through the next page, and it's talking and I'm reading all about the different examples of imperialism in different regions of Africa, it comes up that there are 2 more anomalies on the continent of Africa regarding imperialism. I'm going to make note of that in my nuance color. Okay? And as I read, after every single paragraph, or at least every subsection, I'm going to summarize in a specific way. And again, that summary ensures that you stay engaged in the content. Okay? It can be a quick sentence. It can be a fragment. Something to consider that you guys might not be doing is looking at, or I should say is drawing pictures. So if you want to draw relationships of countries between imperializing countries, that's a really good idea. Pictures are novel, they're new to us, so they're easier to remember. But those are just some tips I have about annotating. Another couple things to do as you read, be sure to ask questions. When you guys read this AP history textbook, we don't expect you to know all the answers by reading them. Bring those questions to class, because chances are if you have those questions, someone else probably does too. And it also helps us think, okay, what do we not know from this textbook? What omissions are happening in this textbook? Things like that. As you read, be sure to make connections between content within the chapter, but also from the chapter and time period before. What about the Industrial Revolution led us to this time? What about colonization is different, that happened in the Indian Ocean between 1450 and 1750 and now changes between 1750 and 1900? Visual aids and summaries, though, are probably the thing that I do the most. So I want to encourage you guys to do that. And then I'll just end and say, when we do vocab on Tuesdays and Thursdays in this class, we usually grab it from the textbook. But we want you guys to tell us other words that you don't know, or spend a few minutes looking up words that you don't know. Because the stimulus-based questions will have that type of vocabulary, and spending 2 or 3 minutes each night looking up 1 or 2 words that you don't know will be a really, really good way to prepare yourself for the stimuli that you'll see in May. All right? So if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. But just remember, this is not the only way to read your textbook, but I hope this was a little bit helpful for you guys. Thank you.